Yo, you gotta treat my waifu with respect and courtesy. She's a beautiful waifu, #1. And this is waifu covered 2, and it's an interesting game, and I never thought I would cover a waifu game. We tried waifus in space a long time ago, but this is not a mainstream game. However, it's a fun top-down shoot 'em up, fast-paced bullet shooter. It's got gorgeous artwork, very colorful, and you pretty much save the waifus by getting rid of their foreign clothing. So it's an interesting concept, not meant for kids obviously, but the covered version of the game, they only go down to like their base clothes and you don't go any further, and it's really weird because I didn't know this. And so the slain enemies, they drop these crystals which help the waifus declothe these clothes that are like poisoning them or hurting them. I'm not sure exactly. And so there are 5 to 10 ships, but you can't choose the ships at first. You can only choose the base horse or whatever is flying this spaceship. And so in the covered version, oh, and you can also buy various ship parts to unlock like ways of making your spaceship faster and stronger and better power-ups. So yeah, there's like absolutely no nudity to the covered version. So they actually released 2 versions, a covered version and a different version. Like there's the regular waifu discovered, and then there's waifu covered, which I thought was strange because nowhere does it actually say, oh, in case you want a PG version of this game, you can buy this version, and if you want the non-PG version for adults, you can buy this version. But like nowhere do they reference any of this. Like they're both on there, but it never gets referenced from what I saw. So it was really strange. So I'm essentially reviewing almost the same game, just slightly different parts are like accessible depending on which one you bought. So even though it has adult themes in the covered version, it never really gets beyond like beach level of nudity, I guess. So they are the same game. One is Waifu Discovered 2, one is Waifu Covered 2, Censored Edition. So I thought I was playing originally the Censored Edition, and then I realized, oh wait, the full game, from what you expect, is the Discovered Edition. So the censored game, they're actually different prices. The censored game is $5.69. The uncensored game is $6.99. So you pay more for the uncensored version, and then you have to pay, if you want, $2.29 for the DLC, which will unlock everything in the game. So it'll save you like hours, probably hours and hours of like gameplay for $2, which is kind of ridiculous. But even though the graphics and detail are great, I don't see myself playing this long term, because it's just, once you've played like a few rounds and like the immense challenge, like once you die at one of the stages, it doesn't save your progress. You have to start all over again. So like it's very frustrating. It's a very poor design in my opinion. Each level should be saved separately rather than, you know, oh, you have to beat the whole game in one go. And I'm not sure why they designed it that way, but that's how they did it. And I'm sure people are going to be buying this not for like, you know, the graphics and detail. They're buying it because it's a waifu uncovered game, not because the covered version. So I'm sure the sales for the uncovered version is much higher than the covered version. You know, they're going to be paying for their exposed women. That's essentially what I'm getting at. Despite the gameplay itself is actually a lot of fun, just not for very long, maybe for half an hour, for an hour. It's a fun and expensive time killer game. The biggest negative, yeah, you can't save, and you start from scratch. The cheap part of the game is the bosses are really cheap. They'll linger at the bottom 90% of the game, and like you can't actually hit them. And then they'll like try and ram you and fire projectiles at you. So like they're really cheap, and like their movements and attacks are much stronger than yours too. So that makes this game seem designed to be unfair for no reason. And the beginner mode of the game, I noticed that is in the exposed uncensored version of the game. Doesn't actually exist in the covered version, which is really weird. It's like, so the developer was saying, oh, it's this game's already easy, you don't need a beginner mode, and it's like, yeah, you do, because the game doesn't save your progress after each match, as it should. It really should, because the easiest difficulty in the covered version is actually hard. It's not actually a standard difficulty. It's too challenging for, I'm sure, the average person. So the beginner mode should have been included in both versions of the game. I don't know why. And I can't imagine anyone playing anything higher than that anyways, because as it is, it's pretty tough. Even for someone that's played like dozens of shoot 'em ups in my lifetime. I would say the game is a solid 8. If you're looking for like just pretty girls, then like this is not bad for the price, $5-6. But yeah, make sure you just play the uncensored version of the game because of the difficulty curve, just because they made it too tough for the average person, and standard is more like hard. Yeah, and just the main reason that you would buy it is because the drawings are beautiful, and if you can't see them, then there's no point of really playing the covered version, as far as I'm concerned. So, like, I feel if you're a hardcore shooter fan, you're gonna probably buy this anyways, just because it's a fun game, and you know, it'll keep your attention for much longer than an hour, and yeah, it's just otherwise like it's just gonna be so ridiculous hard for you to unlock everything unless you buy the exposed version, because beginner is such a huge gap between the beginner stage and the standard difficulty that you're just gonna play on beginner anyways. So anyways, I'd say pick it up. I'd say it's probably like an 8 out of 10. It's not the worst shooter out there, and it's a lot of fun. So the fact that there's waifus and stuff is immaterial, because this is actually a fairly polished waifu game and a polished top shooter game. So waifu it on for life. Bye.